I just brought up the scenario that if a young man came in the room and was like, "I want to get married. Give me some advice."
Yeah, and
what would y'all say?
I think that's what I said. Like, you know,
I'm not married, of course, so I can't.
None of us.
Well, I've never been married, I should say, so I can't really give any advice on that.
Damn, you are the only one that's never been.
That's right.
He's holding on.
I'm holding on.
Hold on. Change is coming. Oh, man. Hold on. Don't worry about it. Yeah, no, I think, honestly, I'm not, you know, a lot of people see me as, you know, because I play for a church, whatever, that I would be a pro marriage. I think that if you're not a spiritual person with any religion, because I think they all kind of touch on marriage. If you're not a spiritual person, I don't think marriage is for people who aren't that way, because there's no book that holds the husband or the wife accountable. Like, I know in the Christian world and the Muslim world, that wives are submissive and men are told to love their wives. And in the Bible, it tells them to not be harsh to their wives. And we have a lot of men that, you know, talk to their wife any type of way they want to. You know, some even beat on their wives, and a lot of men definitely don't love their wife. You know what's funny though, right?
What's up?
When it first came out, when the letter was written to the Galatians about marriage and about how husbands should be treating their wives, the uprising was not about the woman being submissive. The uprising was about the man. So all the men started to dismiss this, because back then women were considered property. And now you're telling me that God wants us to love our property, not be harsh to them? What are you talking about? I can have 1, 2, 3. They're nobody. If they're disobedient, I get them out. And so when Paul wrote to the Galatians, no, we want you to love your wife, men were saying God's going too far. That we are not. And so you fast forward to today's time, people want to say, oh, women are supposed to be submissive. They were already submissive to an unloving husband. And that wasn't working. So, and God said the problem is because in order for the woman to be submissive, they have to be dealing with a loving man. And so I think the issue today is what we have is men aren't encouraged or not taught to love. And therefore women refuse to be submissive. But I guarantee you, if you love a woman right, they would be submissive.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I believe that a woman will be submissive for the right reasons.
But what is submissive is so
submissive means to you to the authority.
Yeah. No. Submissive. What is submission? Submission is a different for every person.
It shouldn't be though.
You know,
like you're submissive to the law, right? Cop pull you over. Are you pulling over? He throwing his headlights. Are you pulling over? He's in authority. If he tells you step out the vehicle.
But that's not a good analogy for marriage.
What I'm saying is because the men's considered to be in authority. So in order for a wife to be submissive to that authority, she has to respect and feel like that authority loves her. And one of the ways that it's like we feel like the law, some of us anyway, feel like the law is there to protect us. And so we're submissive to that authority because we appreciate that it's keeping people in check. And so being submissive to your husband just means that he is my authority. He is. If you watch that movie, what's that movie with Serena Williams and King Richard?
Yeah. He
got the final say. He didn't go and, wife, should we do X, Y? This is what we're going to do. And the wife went along with it. He's the authority of the house. But in order to have that, he needs to be able to love her for her to even want to submit to that type of authority. So,
but if you have a kingdom, you can either rule it with fear, or you can rule it with love.
Right. I feel like that's where our problem is.
That's why I say submission is different. Like submission, maybe back then may have been the same, but nowadays with how women and men are, submission is going to be different to each person. Like you have men who actually are not the dominant figure in their relationship.
They're not even capable.
But that's not even. And they might not be capable. Though I don't think that makes them lesser.
No, I think there's a woman for everybody. There might. You see what I'm saying? Like, just because they're not capable to be an authority the way you see it, maybe for
that's
this
what I'm
type
saying.
of woman,
that's what I'm saying.
That's the authority she needs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The submission is all around. Is your relationship is like Rico's relationship is not going to be Frankie's and you know all that. Mm-hmm. So the level of submission is going to be completely different for each person.
Right, but when we think about submitting to authority, we don't think about it as like I'm a king in the house. You do what I tell you to do. When just to give you an example, when Jesus asked his disciples to submit to him as God, he washed their feet to show this is what love is. Even though I'm your authority,
I thought that was a girl washed Jesus' feet.
Yeah, it was
a girl washed Jesus' feet, but then he washed his disciples' feet.
Right.
And so it was a way to prove that just because I'm your authority, there's nothing beneath me.
So then, and to add on to that, and because I was going to ask who checks the king,
right?
So if Jesus, well, God's not like, you know, like right here in front of our face, like that. God is not right here. So he, you know, let's go with Jesus and his disciples.
Okay.
So he goes to his disciples for counsel.
Uh-huh.
So in each one of these 13 have a certain level of expertise that Jesus may know, but he doesn't know as much as these people. So these are his leaders. Yeah. In a sense, because they come to him with all this information, and then he divvies the information out. He gives his best interpretation of what they've given to him.
I would say, as far as like the question you were saying, like if a boy came in, I'm thinking of a young man that's looking for that next stage.
Right.
I was telling Cap earlier that I think it's important to have that foundation of faith, no matter what it may be, and you need to talk to somebody, professional help.
Oh, you definitely do. I believe that, you know, even before engagement, if you're really serious about the person, you should be already setting up the plays.
You're going to need that throughout your marriage, too.
Oh, yeah. You're going to have to set up those plays where you're going to have to talk to somebody. You're going to have to
I would push back
guidance.
on professional, because sometimes professional...
It's a road.
Professional.
It is a long road because you're not going to find the right one.
They don't necessarily have to be a professional. It could be somebody you trust. It's somebody that's going to be honest with you, you and your person,
or like a mentor, or
something like that. It don't necessarily have to be because
some of them just doing their job. They just doing their job.
Right.
They don't even care.
Right. And you don't. It was the thing is these girls, these female therapists who like hate men.
I can see that.
Then they're on like they had a little section on like Instagram and all that stuff where they legit just hate men, and these are supposed to be the people that you're supposed to go to get help with your relationship.
Right. Relationship.
Yeah, that's just like going to a therapist that's not married. How can she give you advice on marriage?
Exactly.
You know, the best thing that it comes down to is the foundation of where they're getting their advice from. If you're going to a therapist for advice, they should be following a playbook of the education that they've received. It shouldn't be based on my opinion of your husband or my opinion of this is. It should be based on their educational background, my analysis, my study, the research I've shown shows that people in this position. So they should be giving your professional opinion. If you're going to a religious counselor, they should be showing you some scriptures. It shouldn't be that people are just, my feeling about men is that might cloud, their defense and maybe saying some more positive things. But essentially, they should be, if they want to keep that client, they've done enough research to know that there's a model that works when you counsel somebody, that you're supposed to be following the framework of what makes a marriage work and So I feel if you're going to a professional, they should be professional. But back to the framework of marriage, I don't believe there is any book. Here's the thing. Let's take the Bible, for example. The Bible was written by 40 different authors. The 66 books was written about 40 different authors from 3 different continents over the course of 1,500 years. That's a pretty established resource. versus you going to some book that one author wrote that's just best-selling in the New York Times about how to help your marriage. It's amazing that people will go buy that book, but won't look at the book that was written from 3 different continents, Asia, Africa, and Europe,